Hello and welcome to Trucks. On tonight's show, Brian will be putting the Ford Transit under the microscope to see just why it's Britain's best-selling light commercial vehicle. Also, Tim's out on the road seeing a most unusual sight on our British roads, the Isuzu 7.5 tonner. And of course, we'll be checking out all the burning issues in Truckers' Gripes. But first, if you thought auctions were for antique bargain hunters only, you'd be wrong.
That's right, because here we are at Stoodley Truck and Van Auctions in Bellevue, here in the heart of Manchester. And we've set ourselves a bit of a challenge this week.
Yes, because Tim and I have to pit our trucking knowledge against each other to find two commercial vehicles each and see what price they bring under the hammer at the end of the day.
And the one that makes the most money is the one that wins.
If you're looking to buy second-hand from an auction, it's best to find a reputable and established auctioneer like this one that can provide evidence of the vehicle's ownership and maintenance history.
1984 was our first sale. We've been going ever since. On this side of our business, this is our HGV municipal side. We hold monthly sales. The utilities and the councils is where our main line. A lot of leasing companies as well, which are moving into that area now.
And what sort of people buy those? Because I mean, those are quite specialist vehicles. It's not your average person that will come in and buy a municipal vehicle.
No, you see a lot of Irish lads here today, a lot go to Ireland. And also, there's places like Malta, even East European countries now are coming up. So an awful lot of export.
And it's a great place to come if you're a first-time wannabe owner driver. The key when you're bidding for a vehicle is to make sure you've looked around it thoroughly and you've set yourself a limit. So, are you ready? Because I'm ready. Let's go and find ourselves a bargain. Well, my number one vehicle, first of all, is the 75 E15. So that's the Iveco. It's a 7.5 tonner, 150 brake horsepower. This is a T-Red. First thing I notice on it, windscreen, there's no major cracks on it at all, so again, pretty good. At the front, these are made out of plastic, so I don't expect corrosion, and there isn't any there at all. At the front there, nice deep grille, no major cracks on the lenses, so good. As I go around the back, again, my little pièce de résistance, which is we've got a 1-ton tail lift on here as well. So again, will appeal to a lot of people. We've got a wide lap there at the front, at the back there, shutter. So for about 9,000, which is what the people are looking for, it shouldn't be too bad, but I think I want to get that price down a bit.
This is my first baby. It's a Ford Cargo 7.5 tonner. It's about 11 years old. There's not a great deal of damage to it externally. There's a door missing off the battery cabinet round the outside there. Everything looks in perfect condition. The tyres are really great, check those out. Let's head into the cab first and check this out. So we're down this end. Now let's look at how many miles this vehicle's done. Everything looks perfectly normal for an 11-year-old vehicle that's been on the roads for that amount of years. Now it's done 118,000 miles roughly, which is quite a lot of miles. And I would think you'd only expect to pay maybe about £2,000 for this actual truck. You've also got lots of drawers, lots of cabinets, everything that you'd actually need, emergency buttons. You've got an exit at the back of the van in case there's a problem, back of the truck that you can get out of. It's absolutely fantastic. You can convert it, rip all this out. You can make it into your own little mobile home. In fact, I need a Winnebago. Maybe I'll ask the director if I can have some money.
Now, people say that I'm a man of extremes, and just to prove it, here we have. The first vehicle was an on-road vehicle. This is definitely an off-road vehicle. First of all, look at the multi-leaf springs on the front. This is definitely a vehicle for serious terrain. They've got a reserve on about 6. I think if I can get it for about 5.5, 5, I reckon this could go for something like 7, maybe even 8.
Now, Tim is the technical person in our coupling, and I'm a bit of a fun monster. So when I saw this fire engine, my blue light started flashing. Now, it's made by Carmichael. It's about 14 years old. I've had a look round it. Everything seems in order, you know, just general wear and tear. Right, so we're in the cab, and look at all this technical garb here. You've got the typical fire engine, very exciting. So basically, I think I'm going to make a bit of money on this. I think it's a good buy for a new business venture. Now, if a second-hand truck isn't your bag and you're thinking about buying something new, and if it's not a truck you want, it's a van, then Brian might have what you need.
This week we're going to look at one of the most popular light commercials on the market. Now, these particular vans have been around for a long time. Let's go and see what new security features are fitted on these vans, shall we? So, what is this new van? It's the new Ford Transit. Now, this new van's got a lot of new security features on it. Let's have a look at the one. If you notice on the back, not a door lock to be seen. It's all remote, and you have this remote to lock it with and unlock it. So if you lose it, you're really in trouble. Make sure you keep that safe. Right, so the styling of the new Transit, it's certainly got a lot better styling than the old one. If you look at the outside of it, it's certainly a lot more pleasing. Interior cab, it's much more comfortable. So now we know this is the new Transit. Does it drive as good as a new Transit? The old Transit was good. Is this better? Let's try it, shall we? Right, the new Ford Transit. Now this is the new shape Transit. This is just a low roof one. They do a 75 and 100 BSI one. Now this is the 100. It's known as the 280S. Nice torquey new 2.5 diesel engine. A lot of torque in that. Good fuel consumption and all on these new ones. They reckon round about 34 to 35 mpg, which certainly isn't bad. And with these new ones, they've got these great big front windows instead of them silly little quarter lights that were really new, not use nor ornament really. The only thing you don't get on here is a tilting steering column, which could be a bit of an advantage if you're a long-legged person. All the controls are easy, no big long stalks on these, not like the old Transit that had the twin stalks, but if you wasn't careful, you put the wipers on instead of putting the indicators on. Surprisingly for a van as well, it's not that noisy. There's not a lot of drumming noise through from the back. We don't have a bulkhead fitted in this one, as in some, but the noise is certainly not drowning you out. Handling is very precise. Again, you'd expect it to be from Transits, wouldn't you? Been around for a few years, they should have got it right by now. Good suspension on them, nice and solid, even though it's empty. It doesn't sway about all over the place. It is a nice, safe ride. Right, one of the things this Transit's got is this new bonnet catch. Now this is a new security feature on here, but if this isn't well maintained, that is going to cause a lot of problems. Now, this new Duro Torque engine, very flexible, a lot of torque, good fuel consumption, but there's been a few technical glitches on the electronic side. So just make sure that you do get one with a 3-year warranty on. Just make sure that everything's spot bob on with the electronics on it. Right, the technical spec on these new Transits, you can get two engines on these, a 75 PSI and the 100 PSI. So, depends on whether you're doing motorway work or around town, you can get the vehicle that's going to suit your requirements best. They're comparable on fuel and the servicing intervals, 10,000 miles. You've got to remember also, being Fords, that spares are readily available. We've road tested the new Transit, we've looked round the new Transit. It's got a lot of new security features on this. Two minor glitches as well, which you've got to look out for. Styling, it's certainly a lot better looking than the old Transit, a much better vehicle. It's got a good torquey engine on it. Is it the van you'd buy though?
Brian seemed to like the Transit, and so did we actually when we went down to the factory in Southampton. But today we're at an auction, and welcome back to that. Now, Tim and I set ourselves a challenge earlier on to find 2 trucks each that would get a great price when they go under the hammer. I wonder how Tim's getting on.
It's beginning to fill up now, and we can feel the sense of anticipation as we get to the start of the auction. But before we do that, let's recap on the vehicles that Helen and I have chosen.
We start with an Iveco Cargo. This is a great truck. It's a decent size too at 7.5 tonnes. The 18.6 foot box van body is designed to carry dry goods, and it's got a sleeper cab too. Typical that Tim's grabbed it first. Here's another Iveco, my lovely future Winnebago. It's 11 years old, originally from Wales, and at the moment it's a library bus. But it would make an ideal mobile home conversion. It's in pretty good condition, but has high mileage at 118,000. This is a big lump of a machine by Mercedes. It's 12 years old and it's full of grit. The reserve price is $6,000 for this off-road vehicle, snowplough and gritter with double rear drive. To be honest, I can't see it making $6,000. It doesn't even snow much anymore. Nina, Nina! My lovely Carmichael fire engine. I know this won't make a great deal at the auction, but how fab to own your own. No more pretending. It's only 14 years old and has low mileage at 23,000 and would make a great novelty vehicle. If you're looking to buy a truck from an auction, here are our top tips for getting a blooming bargain and avoiding a dodgy dud. Find a reputable and established auctioneer. Make sure you give the vehicle a thorough visual inspection before the sale and refer to the catalogue for technical spec. Decide how much you want to spend and give yourself a limit, and make sure you stick to it. All light and heavy commercial vehicles, plant and equipment are sold as seen, which includes all visible items like bodywork, tyres, exhaust and interior. These vehicles are purchased with no warranties whatsoever by the seller. Take along a professional if you're unsure about mechanics. Check the engine, gearbox, clutch, brakes and steering. Bids are made at the fall of the hammer. The highest bidder must go straight to the rostrum and pay a deposit of 10% of the hammer price. On top of the hammer price, you will have to pay a buyer's fee, which is VAT inclusive. This buyer's fee provides the buyer with an undertaking against the vehicle if it proves to be stolen.
So that's our top 4 trucks. Which one do you think will make the most profit at auction? And have I learnt enough to outsmart Tim?
We'll find out after the break.
Welcome back to Trucks. We're at the auctions, and earlier on Tim and I chose our 4 favourite trucks that we think will bring the best price when it goes under the hammer. But before we get those trucks auctioned, it's time for Tim to meet Paul Stoodley, the man in the know.
Tell us a little about the 4 vehicles that we've picked. What are the best bits and the worst bits about what we've picked?
Well, first of all, we chose the Iveco 75 Cargo, Euro Cargo. Firstly, it's going to do well because one of the age, 99. It's an 18-foot GRP body. It's a thing everybody will buy. If you say a sleeper cab, it's got a chance of doing decent money. Secondly, went to I think it was the Gritter, the big Econ Gritter, super body, very specialised. Great time of year though. End of November, it's getting cold already. We're looking to see that to make over the reserve price the customer wants. The library vehicles, very specialised. Hard to say once again on these. Fantastic vehicles because they can be converted to all sorts of things. Catering, even small pony boxes, all sorts of things. So they've got a very, once again, it's specialised, but there's a marketplace for them. Finally, we're going to struggle with the fire engine. Most fire engines do very, very low money, mostly because the fire brigade take away the sirens, the pumps, you name it, they take it all off. So in effect, they're normally breaking vehicles. This one's not quite so bad. It's an old vehicle, but very low mileage, 23,000 miles from new, I think it's done. And it's come from North Wales, a very tidy vehicle.
There's a couple there that I picked and a couple that Helen happened to pick as well. Tell us, out of the ones that you had on here auction today, would you have picked those vehicles or not?
Price-wise, no. In effect, the library van and the Commander and the fire engine I would not have picked. That's the two.
That's what I like to hear, mate. That's what I like to hear.
So we've all heard what Paul's got to say about Tim and my choice of trucks. I'm just keeping my fingers crossed, to be honest, because the time of reckoning is just about on us. But before we find out, it's time to go to Tim and his truck test with the Isuzu 7.5 tonner.
Today, we're testing a rare sight on Britain's roads. A manufacturer that does things slightly differently and a vehicle that probably wouldn't figure on your best-selling list of 7.5 tonners. In fact, mention the name, you should probably think about cars and 4x4 off-roading. In fact, in the UK, they're not even related. I'm talking about Isuzu trucks, and we're talking about their offering at 7.5 tonnes, the NQR. Isuzu has been making trucks since 1918 and has produced over 26 million up to date and has distributed them in over 64 countries. In contrast, Isuzu Trucks UK only started in 1996 but has managed to develop a network of over 65 dealers. On first impressions, it's got everything you expect from a small truck designed in Japan. In fact, it's got a passing similarity to the Mitsubishi Canter. So, how does the NQR stack up against its Asian competitors? And more importantly for us, how does it stack up against the Europeans? Let's go out and find out. What you need on a tipper is something where you're not going long distances here. We're doing short distances, lots of turns and corners and things like that, so you need good power steering, and this is first class. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen. You've got good feel through it and it's got a great turning circle. The gearbox is an Isuzu 6-speed. It's a curious match between the two actually, because you've got a 140 brake horsepower engine, 143 I think it is, and it's a 4.8 litre, which in this day and age is quite a big literage. which shows it's probably an older generation engine, because don't forget our competitors that it's going up against 4 cylinders around 3.8, 3.9 litre, around about the 1 litre per cylinder. Here we've got 4.8. The thing I've noticed, we are on a windy day, but there is a lot of cab noise. We are getting maybe not so much engine noise, but all the noise that's generated at the moment is certainly coming from outside the cab. So this could be a problem. But I balance that out with the fact that it's quite low down, this cab. So if I was certainly getting the noise here, I'd think if I was driving something like an LF or I was driving maybe the a Tigo, I'd probably get even more noise. I've got to laugh because I think this is quite an interesting mix. We have got Japanese, European, Asian sort of designs. It's quite interesting. The NQR is powered by 4.8 litre 4-cylinder Euro 3 engine, rated at 143 brake horsepower and 471 Nm torque. This is matched to a 6-speed gearbox. The chassis cab has an laden weight that starts at a very low 2,685 kilograms and is priced at a very competitive £18,995. Let me say first of all, this has changed my perception of Isuzu. This is a great little tipper. I wouldn't go long distances in it, but with the turning circle it's got and the drivability, Isuzu have found a great niche market for the NQR.
7.5 tonnes of fun! Anyway, to more serious issues and your industry and the problems that you have within it in Truckers' Gripes.
Trucks entering the UK from the continent are frequently importing an additional cargo without the driver's knowledge. The issue of illegal immigrants has become a fraught subject between government, drivers and operators as politicians continue to blame truck drivers for the problem. So we asked you what you thought of the on-the-spot fines and plans to imprison drivers who were caught by customs and excise, allegedly importing human cargo into the UK.
It's totally scandalous. Basically, the truck drivers, the other side of the in France, wherever, they're picking up the trailers which are totally sealed up, and the driver cannot check what they've got on the trailer.
Well, how are they going to prove that the driver knew that the illegal immigrants were in his lorry?
I think they're being used as scapegoats to some extent. Most of the truck drivers I know that do go abroad with the trucks will check the wagons and everything else, you know what I mean? They check, make sure the wagons are okay anyway.
Westminster have had several years to install detection devices on the French side of the Channel ports. Instead, levying fines on innocent truckers seems to be the political convenience that continues to enrich the Treasury. So what effect do you think the threat of fines and imprisonment is having on drivers who make regular European crossings?
I have put in complaints through the union and my management about that subject, yeah.
Put them off the work. I know I wouldn't do it. It's the risk, you know, you're not just losing your job, you're losing your livelihood as well as, you know, your family. It's just not worth the risk these days, eh?
As I say, the job's hard enough already. They'll basically look for work elsewhere. They'll just forget about truck driving because it won't be worth it.
Well, it's going to stop British companies running out of Britain, exporting and importing into Britain, because they're not wanting to have to pay the fines, so they'll just move all their business across to Europe.
Perhaps the issue could be resolved if there were formal checks at French ports and customs and excise issued drivers with an all-clear certificate. At least innocent truck drivers would be absolved from punishment for unwittingly carrying illegal immigrants.
It might be better, I think, if proper checks were done at the ports themselves by the authorities instead of blaming truck drivers for something they've already checked and then somebody else has come along and undone for them, if you like.
Just more camera stuff like that, really, make sure nothing gets anywhere near the wagons.
They have to do more checks, don't they? A lot more, but they don't put enough manpower into that sort of thing, do they? Just take the easy way out and blame the driver and on they go.
But until the failure of our transport policy is rectified, the tragic reality is economic and political refugees will continue to infiltrate our country without a rational explanation from the government for implementing preventative measures. Welcome back to the truck auction. Our challenge was to find 2 trucks each that will make the best price under the hammer. So will the library and fire engine I've chosen make more money than Tim's Road Gritter and Iveco Cargo? Well, grab your gavel and let the bidding commence.
Auctions are a funny old game. You never know what you're going to get until the bidding starts. There's a lot of hubbub and noise going on between these gentlemen. I'm sure they're all fighting over my little library van.
Well, this is my vehicle and I'm getting really nervous about it. I just hope the guy I thought was going to be in the auction is the one that's going to be here. Starting at 5,000, pretty happy with that.
875. There you go. I didn't do that bad though, did I?
This is the one I've been waiting for. I think I'll do a nice, tidy sum on this one, really.
Direct from them to us, it's 99 on the T, direct from the company.
We're starting describing it.
Looks like they're only from you, direct, 99, mileage is genuine, logbook sale, test here as well. Is that worth? Give me a clue. £6,000 bid, to do the highway.
Started at 6,000, not bad at all. 7, going up to 7. I'm more than happy with this. I made a tidy packet on this. Helen, you've got no chance, I'll tell you now. £8,000, Helen, I've beaten you easily. You win.
I am not a wimp.
Yes, you are.
At least I took the challenge and I'm taking it on the chin, you know. My attitude is that my little Welsh library could have been a really nice mobile home.
You were the only
road.
person in this auction that thought that would make money.
I know, because it's full of truckers and I'm a girl and I was thinking about different
truck
things.
auction, what do you expect?
But I must say, I did want that curtain cider and you said you could have it.
Yes. Look, Helen, it wasn't even a curtain cider, it was a box fan. But I made £15,000. It was easy. What did you make? Shall we go and have a coffee?
Much less than that.
Let's go and have a coffee.
I'm not playing anymore. So that's it for the show this week, but be sure to join us next week when, amongst other things, Brian is road testing Peugeot's Boxer to see if it's ready to take on the Transit.
Yes, and I'll be out on the road road testing the Renault 420 CDI, and also be looking at some of the issues facing you in Truckers' Gripes.
So until then,
Goodbye.
goodbye.